Lately, I have been putting a lot of thought into the Imagine Dragons song Believer and its subsequent music video. I see the story of a young man with a peculiar tattoo on his chest fighting an older man on a neon futuristic stage. The young man sings about how he is tired about the way that things have been and is fired up to make a change in his life. Then he says that nobody can tell him what we think he can't be. He is the one at the sail, the master of the sea. They pound and pound at each other. The older one seems to overpower the younger. There are flashbacks of the young man as a younger boy drawing. The young man then sings about how he has had a hard upbringing that broke him, and he had to work hard to get to where he is now. But he knows that he still is far from his ultimate goal, and he will need to work harder than ever before. At his greatest point of frustration and fear, he would send up a prayer. He became angry. It built and built up in a cloud until it was ready to rain down like ashes. Ashes. He felt inhibited, limited, and drowned in his feelings. The anger only intensified. Finally, when it seemed the older man had defeated the young man, it is revealed that it was actually the young man who defeated the older. The older man lays on the ground, bearing the same peculiar tattoo on his chest as the young man, revealing that the young man was fighting his future self all along. All of this made him see the beauty in pain. People don't like pain. They do everything they can to avoid it. But he knows that pain will only make him stronger. The one thing that made him a believer in the concept was his future self, with whom he felt he was in constant conflict. In his hardest moments, when he wanted to stop,
I want to stop.
His future self would respond.
We can't.
You will recall that in the previous video I talked about how, according to Carl Jung, Christ represents this future self, the self that everyone is striving to obtain, and how the process to obtain this self is through the individuation process, which requires that we integrate our shadows with our egos. Like Christ, we need to explore our subconscious, i.e. hell, and be born again a new creature. Such a process of descending into hell requires a tremendous amount of pain, as Jesus Christ can attest to. He represents the future self who has overcome the deepest parts of hell and all things in order to be resurrected with a divine body and obtain godhood and a fullness of joy. So if we look at Christ as our example and seek to be where he is, then we must be willing to suffer what he suffered. When we want to stop, he will tell us that we can't. Because in order for our own personal selves to exist, we must be willing to put in all the effort to get to where they are now, no matter how painful the process might be. When you do something that you are passionate about, and you get to a wall of frustration, you fear the pain and need encouragement. Picture your future self and how much pain it required to get you there, and for the pain that we simply cannot endure lest we perish. It was covered, all of it, by Christ, who is our future self, to break you down and build you up. Now let us consider the legend that is Bruce Lee. Although we have very little video footage of his greatest feats, or of his real-life fights, according to Shannon Lee, his daughter, the man never lost a fight, and was indeed a real-life superhero. At only 135 pounds, he could easily take down people 3 times his size. His training was as such that he would win a fight as quickly as possible, instead of training to gain points in a tournament. The man was a real-life Goku, a man possessed with the desire to become the greatest fighter in the universe. He trained constantly, 10 hours a day, always pushing his body to its very limits until it could give no more. Unfortunately, his training became his undoing. As he trained so hard, his muscles were in so much pain. He took one too many painkillers and died from the effects of overtraining. He trained beyond his pain threshold and kept training. His self-discipline unrivaled, though his judgment in seeking help failed. He embraced the fact that life is full of pain, and he sought to overcome it, all of it, and break all roofs above his head. He said, "When you feel pain, you know that you are still alive." Now consider these sage words. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. Pain is weakness leaving the body. Pain will leave after it is done teaching you. Don't fear failure, not failure. But low aim is a crime. In great attempts it is glorious to fail. Sorrows are our best educator. A man can see further through a tear than a telescope. If you always put limits on everything you do, physical or anything else, it will spread into your work and into your life. There are no limits. There are only plateaus, and you must not stay there. You must go beyond them. The further one descends into the darkness of sorrow and pain, and then rises above such things, the greater the individual. And Jesus Christ hath descended below them all. Art thou greater than he? Thank you for watching. Please consider supporting me by clicking that big red subscribe button and liking the video and sharing it with your friends and family.